Take another drink as you stare at the blank canvas that stands before you, your workshop a mess. Empty bottles, empty paint tubes, broken paint brushes, and paint lays scattered throughout the room. You've painted thousands of paintings before, but nothing compared to this. This painting is going to be something different. This is going to be a masterpiece. It is almost complete, it just needs a bit more work. You must finish it. Layers of Fear is an indie that has become Psychedelic horror game developed by Bloober team and published by Aspyr. The game started in Steam's Early Access program and fully released on the 16th of February 2016. Layers of Fear has an interesting story along with its chilling moments and well-placed jump scares. Everything within the game quickly becomes predictable, however, and what starts off as intriguing becomes a slow and somewhat boring walking simulator. Essentially, the player takes the role of an artist who is struggling to create his next masterpiece, time and time again failing, just slightly missing the mark and slowly entering madness, not to mention a taste for alcohol that could rival the Irish. This time he believes that he can do it, he feels that he can finish it. The plot for Layers of Fear revolves around the player making their way around the house, recollecting memories while bit by bit creating their magnum opus. The player discovers most of the plot through finding various items and notes, generally by either flashback narration or through reading what notes contain. The collectibles found throughout the game, some more hidden than others, are a major source of plot. It is easy to miss quite a few of them. Doing so, you won't receive the story in full. It is a standard cliché story of the struggling artist that is slowly going insane, something that has been told in all forms of fiction a dozen times over, a little bit like anything with zombies in it these days. The player goes on this journey consisting of reality, insanity and memories all mixed up together. This mixture creates horrific scenes and moments of scares throughout. It is a highly predictable plot that ends pretty much exactly as is to expect of such a cliché story. The story has its moments of intrigue, but overall is predictable and boring for the most part, leading to an expected and anticlimactic ending. There is supposed to be multiple endings to the game, but I'll be fucked if I'm going to attempt to play it again for a different ending. I'd rather scratch my crotch vigorously with sandpaper. Essentially, Layers of Fear is nothing more than what has become known as a walking simulator, but with typical modern day horror added into it. The player has to navigate the house, collecting various things required to complete the painting. As the player explores, various horror scenes happen throughout, sadly most being nothing more than jump scares. At first the jump scares are well designed and placed, but as the game progresses become overused, predictable and stale. It gets stale to the point that the player begins to cringe with each encounter, just like when you first get the smell of a rather eggy fart. As I previously mentioned, the game was originally called a psychological horror title, but it is anything but psychological horror, since it has been changed to psychedelic horror, and is far more accurate in describing what the game is. It is a psychedelic horror walking simulator, nothing more, nothing less. Even the jump scares the player encounters throughout are cliché and have played a part in countless forms of fiction of all kinds throughout the years. The sudden appearance of something behind you, something running across your field of view, doors and windows opening on their own, and of course it wouldn't be complete without creepy Victorian dolls. Layers of Fear throws the occasional, I hesitate to use the word, puzzle at the player. They consist of finding a lock combination or finding a certain item, and they are completely unnecessary. Their presence within the game feels like nothing more than fillers. They are used to break up the otherwise constant walking around, adding a few extra minutes to an already relatively short game for its price. Progression is at times frustrating, as the player has to complete a sequence of activities in a room before it becomes unlocked. What the player has to do in each room can at times be unclear, but solved by simply checking every little thing and using anything. Upon doing so, generally leads to some scripted horror sequence of some kind or a scripted change to the room. Looking back on Layers of Fear, it is easy to see that there is nothing but a long path filled to the brim with purely scripted events. Every little thing that happens in the game is entirely on a script. Layers of Fear uses the Unity engine, a game engine that has had its reputation, shall we say, tarnished somewhat over the past year or two for numerous reasons. Nevertheless, the game truly brings Unity into the limelight, showing off the results that the engine is truly capable of producing. Visually, the game is beautiful, the lighting brilliant and and the shading is also excellent. The audio used in the game for Atmosphere is also well done, and the sound effects give some sudden brain shakes. The atmosphere is pretty damn good and helps absorb you into the world of madness. The problem is that all these excellent graphics, audio and atmosphere get lost due to the game being genuinely boring. The game is an estimate of 3 hours long. That is with me taking my time. Rushing will probably result in about 2 to 2.5 hours. For an asking price of €20, I find it to be rather steep for what the game is. I'm a man that likes to get gameplay value for money, if not then a damn fine experience, and this game doesn't have either. It has zero replayability, and the chances of playing a second time for the sake of additional collectibles to receive the plot full is unlikely going to happen. Due to all the scares working on scripts, it leaves nothing for a second run, making it very much a one-trick pony. Overall, Layers of Fear has its moments, but otherwise is nothing more than a cliche story with nothing but scripted scares, making the game feel like nothing more than the latest YouTube fodder. If you like jump scares, this game will be right up your alley. If you are looking for a more fulfilling, chilling and genuine scary game, you may need to look elsewhere. Even if you love jump scares, the price I feel will still be too steep for what it offers, and players should ideally wait until it goes on sale before picking it up. Layers of Fear isn't a bad game, but not a good game either, but rather a game that you could serve as a definition of the word mediocre. If you played Silent Hill PT back before Konami became the world's biggest ass bags, you have essentially played a lot of Layers of Fear. The concept is the same, but it is just a longer experience and slightly changed to fit the plot, and with that I give it a 5 out of 10. It is a game that has all the potential of being an excellent horror title if only it could let go of the cheap predictable jump scares and have a more original plot. It is nothing more than the latest YouTube fodder for players to look into a camera and scream very loudly. The only thing that can make me scream about this game is the fact that I paid €20 for the fucking thing.